Hi Libra, welcome to your end of November 2019 General Tarot Update. It's Rena here. I want to give a shout out to the person who made me aware that I hadn't done one for your sign. I apologize for that. I thought that I had completed the series of end of the month readings, and I guess I hadn't. Oh, here are my angel earrings. I'm going to take these off the camera. I don't know how they ended up way over there though. Okay, so here is that reading for you. Okay. So the heart of the matter is the Four of Cups. And this is a card, it was very interesting. Recently I saw an actual positive interpretation of this card that was talking about stable emotions or something to that effect. Probably because number 4 is a number of, foundation and stability. But, because of the artistic rendering here, as well as the Rider-Waite deck, this is the Morgan Greer deck, and there's always that similar theme where the person is stone-faced, being presented a cup, which is symbolic for emotions, for maybe love in some cases. So what this would basically be talking about is being offered something, especially emotionally, that you are not interested in. And in a wider sense, the idea of what if what your opportunities are not what you want, then what do you do? And I'm just going to, usually I don't pick this card, or I don't talk about the challenge card next, but it really stood out to me in this reading because it's the Star card. And I feel like perhaps some Libra people are not honoring their dreams, that they are kind of either in like a state of inertia. I also think about that with the Four of Cups. It's like just going through the motions of life. And there may be reasons for this that are beyond the scope of a reading that's general like this. But sometimes it's important to just kind of keep going and not allow yourself to, even if you're not feeling your best, just to kind of like fall apart or, decide not to do something. So sometimes we do things that we're not enthused about because we want to just at least keep busy, and we don't want to just ruminate about problems or anything like that. In relationships, this may be a person who has come to the realization that they are not in love with their partner, even though their partner may show affection to them. It's like a one-sided thing, and that can be very upsetting to a Libra person because you're such a kind-hearted person typically that you don't want to hurt people. That's not your ever your goal. And so just the thought of it can be quite unnerving to some Libra people. And so you may resist the urge to lay all your cards on the table, pardon the pun, because you might feel like you're not deserving of doing this sort of thing under the circumstances. I always, when I get a scenario like this, I always talk about eat, love, and pray. Eat, love, pray, not and love. Eat, love, and pray. Eat, love, pray. That book by Elizabeth Gilbert, I think her name is. And she was married to somebody who was a really nice guy. And yet she wasn't in love with him, and he wanted to start a family. And then she knew, oh my God, I can't keep going down this route. And I remember, that's how the book opens. And it was very compelling, because usually we think about leaving a relationship when the other person is not nice. But even for your soul's expansion, if you realize that you are not with the right person, even if they are a good person, it might not be right for you. That can be an agonizing decision to make. So for personal relationships, it can be something along those lines. But if this is a work-related situation, or just your life in general, you may feel like you're going through the motions. In the past position is the Queen of Wands. This is the card of the career woman. Perhaps you thought that was the end-all be-all, and you find out that it's not, that it doesn't really do it for you. Who knows? Maybe it's somebody who quit their high-powered career to stay home with their child, and they're not happy with that either. I mean, isn't it funny? We can interpret things in various ways. I wouldn't be surprised if it's more of the career person, where you just found out that it was not as all it was cracked up to be. Because in the higher position, we have the Four of Swords. And this is a card of kind of even perhaps physical rejuvenation. Definitely a card of reflection and maybe some alone time. And so I don't think that really applies for somebody who has a child necessarily, but more of maybe somebody who has career burnout. And like I said, with the Star card, you might feel misaligned because you're not really going after what you truly want. And there may be reasons for that. You may feel like what you really want to do is something that is unreliable, that you couldn't really make a living from it, or that it's not something that's a real job, It's amazing the kind of comments that I read about people who seem to think that if you're doing something that is fun, that you're not really working. And that's, at least for those of us who live in America, that goes back to the Puritans, the puritanical attitude of, almost like this attitude of suffering is holy, and what I would ask you, Libra, is to think about something that you've always wanted to do. Maybe this is even if you have like a parent who has crossed over, or some other loved one who knew you when you were a child and knew the things that really excited you. Perhaps if they have crossed over, they're trying to help you find your way back to what you came here to do, and you're turning your back on that. And the Star card is about the faith in the unseen forces, so turning your back on that which is not in the visible world, including those hunches or those little nudges that you're getting, that you may overanalyze and not really take action on. What's coming in is the Lover's card. I think in this context, this is about choice. If this is a relationship issue, obviously the Lover's card is so self-explanatory. We know, we can see that has a romantic connotation. But I would say for somebody who feels like they're not in love with their current partner is to ask yourself, what is the point of relationship? Like, what is the ultimate goal of those who choose to be in relationship with another person? Because you notice I said the word choose. You can be alone if that's something that speaks to you. A lot of Libra individuals would never go that route because your sign rules the seventh house in astrology of committed partnership, or partnership in general. So you are the kind of people who are naturally inclined towards being in relationships, but it doesn't mean every single Libra on the planet is, especially those with maybe a moon in Scorpio or inner planets in Scorpio. You tend to be much more choosy, I would say, but also have a hard time, trusting a potential partner. And in some cases, you might rather be alone than risk being with somebody who might not stick around. And I think that relationships are only good when they're healthy. When you're really getting something out of it, not just doing it because you have a tendency to feel lonely. So with the Lover's card, beyond this idea of having a true love in your life, I would say that this is about choice. And this card is connected to Gemini. So if there's a Gemini person, then that can certainly be somebody who is helping you, or who likes you, or you like them. But when I say choice, I'm saying, choosing your happiness, choosing joy, over duty, for instance, or over conventional thinking, whatever. The outcome, I like to see this one. The Chariot is a card of, victory. The ability to control opposing forces. That's why they have one horse black and one horse white, because it's kind of like the two polarities, I would say. Kind of like when we do make decisions and we say, well, I can do this or I can do that. And it's almost like the two extremes of a situation. So in a love situation, the idea of being alone and being together. And, some people, I don't think Libra is one of those signs, but some signs, I'm a Sagittarian, and I think that my sign is noteworthy for being kind of commitment phobic. And Sagittarians love freedom, but relationships might feel very confining, very claustrophobic. That's one extreme. The other extreme is that sense of total freedom. But can they come together? Can you have both, in other words? And so the Chariot is about bringing together those opposing forces. So it's like, even on the internal level of being kind of torn between two things and not sure which one you want, and kind of integrating them. The idea of like, hey, I can have a relationship and still have freedom. I can have a love affair and still have alone time. I don't have to be with my partner 24/7. So it's not a question of either being like attached to the hip or being, living separate lives under the same roof. It doesn't have to be those two extremes. And just the idea of I think also being persistent with pursuing something. Oh, you know, I didn't say this, but the Four of Cups, maybe this is a Cancer. Because Cancer rules the fourth house of home and family, and Cups are water signs. So I don't know. I don't know if there's a specific water sign that's associated with the Four of Cups. It might actually be like Mercury in Cancer or something. Who knows? But probably more like Venus in Cancer. But in any case, Libra, I'm glad that I was able to get this out to you before the end of the month. And I hope you have a great rest of November. Take care. Bye.